now I just don't have your face.
I literally have no idea what this thing is. The heck? I'm so sorry. I've never done this before, so
That's okay.
there
you
are. Need my glasses on.
I am so excited to see you. I really am.
Nice to meet you in person.
It's so good to meet you too. Thank you so much for doing this. Everybody's so excited. Are you able to see my comments too on your end?
I think that's all I can see. I don't even, Perfect. I'm not sure. So, let's see. I saw my two favorites from Mary Mo. So is that your comments? Or?
I think so.
Okay.
Awesome. All right, guys. So before we get started, I'm going to ask everybody that hasn't followed the Sacred Lotus to go ahead and give her a follow, but most likely you all follow her anyway. So yeah, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Denise, your name, what you do here on social media? And
yeah, so my name's Denise, and I grew up partially in Connecticut and partially in Maine, but I now live in Oregon. So I'm sorry, I'm so distracted. Is my face like, I can't tell if there's like a weird filter on it. My eyes look so weird, but I can't see. Anyway, if there's a filter, sorry, I don't know.
I don't think that there is. You look gorgeous. So
yeah. It looked like my eyes were like bizarre, but anyway, okay. So I now live in Oregon. I've lived here for like 20 years, maybe a little longer. And yeah, I come from an esoteric background. Like my mom kind of raised me in this realm. So I was quite surprised when I finally, after forever of TikTok being around, I like one day downloaded TikTok and I was like, people are doing Reiki on TikTok? Like, count me in. I was super scared, but I just decided I had to do it. I had to set the ego aside and fear and go for it. So thank you, Erica, for paving the way and opening that door.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for your energy on TikTok and on other platforms too. Like whenever your videos and your content, it's so moving. Like you can just feel your energy. But then on top of it, like you are a big supporter of lifting up the other women on this platform too, which is so beautiful, you know? And I loved that I get to be a part of that with you. So.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. It was very, humbling to receive your invite. I was like, whoa, yay. Oh my gosh. Like that was so kind of you to reach out, and I'm glad that my work resonates the way it does, because it truly does come from my heart. And obviously as we build through this work, there can be businesses that grow from it, but even if there wasn't, you would still find me here doing this work as often as I can. In fact, my business takes me a little bit away from my content, which has been a little bit of a battle for me, because the messages I receive from people here on TikTok, but even a little bit more on other platforms, it's so humbling. Like I will find myself crying reading messages. Like it's just so humbling to see how much it's touching people's lives and transforming their lives. That's the big thing for me, is that like hearing that it's changing their lives for the better. So
definitely. And you get to do this like all day for your livelihood. You know what I mean? Like this is, and can you tell us a little bit more about that? Like what does the day look like in your life? So you have a business, and then can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, yeah. So usually every day I wake up and I'll like check my emails, check my messages, and then I do have another account on here. I had my business attached to this account, but then I decided to separate them because sometimes things go wonky on this platform. And it was more important for me to keep this safe for me and for others, like to have this section of it to hopefully always be here. So I separated the business. So I have the Sacred Lotus Apothecary also on TikTok. But I usually wake up and I check my messages, check my orders, and then I do like you know, like the sprays, and
Yeah.
I do like like this is a new candle. I haven't put it out yet, but this is like,
Oh, that's beautiful.
I was kind of starting like a chakra candle.
Yeah.
So that's like the root. But yeah, I end up filling orders, and I hope to get those out as often as like as early as possible so that I can get on here. But sometimes I can't swing both. Sometimes I still have a child in middle school, and despite the gray hair, she was a little later in life. So yeah, I usually fill orders, and then I try to make Reiki content, and then I try to also make content about like natural products that I'm interested in making, or I love like, I have a little bit of like ADD where I'm kind of, it's like the creativity is too much and I'm all over the map. So that's a little bit of a struggle, but that's what a day looks like. It's like filling orders and then trying to get some content out. And then by then it's usually the end of the day.
Yeah. It does just kind of go, then you're like, where did my whole day go? But you're wearing many different hats when you're a content creator and a Reiki practitioner or a master. And then you have a business then on top of it. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it's a little bit intense because some of the other platforms have kind of like, this was my first platform that I bumped up on, and then some of the other platforms randomly took over. So then that has pushed the business out more. So, and then like I will get way into like I got into a hair care oil and that took off. And so then I'm like still trying to do everything else, but it's a me problem. I definitely need to.
It is. It's a good problem to have though. Yeah. But I would say I love there's one platform, we don't talk about all the other platforms here, but there's one platform that I really enjoy. Like your content is very educational. I love it. I feel like I learned something about when you're making your products and the meaning behind them and stuff. And so I absolutely love that. So I will say, please follow her on all of the platforms, the Sacred Lotus, Denise, because it's well worth it. It's well worth it. So tell me a little bit about like how did you stumble across social media? Just a little bit about that journey.
Well, I guess so. Right before 2020, I have 3 older kids that were like all heading into college. And I did this 1 year of like, I'm going to hike everywhere. I'm going to hike all around Oregon that I can drive to and get back in time to pick up my younger daughter. And I kid you not, on this one mountain, I will make the story short, but there was a experience that I had where I was kind of standing on the trail and hemming and hawing about thinking about which way to go. And I thought I was blocking the trail, and I felt someone come up behind me, and I turned around and I said, "Oh, I'm sorry." And it was this like smoky, ethereal face. And we were just eye to eye, like locked. And then this huge wind blew and it blew away.
Oh,
and
wow.
I knew instantly that I wasn't fulfilling my purpose. it was like the face was like the eyes were penetrating me so deeply. Like, why are you wasting your time here? Because I had moved here, I had lived in towns where like what I do is very normal and the mainstream. And then I moved to a town where it was very taboo. And so I kind of had to hide that part of me and hold it in. And it was like a spiral after that meeting. It was this like spiral, like COVID hit, we were all locked down. I started like getting like really deep messages, and then I can't even tell you what day or what made me download TikTok, but I downloaded it. I think I saw you, Michael, is that Michael Healing and Beyond?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I think there was one more, and I was like, it was like a slap in the face. Like, you have to do this. And I was terrified. I mean, my children are all like, 3 of them are adults, and they were like, why are you just like playing on TikTok all the time? Like, nobody understood what I was doing. I think a lot of people were like baffled by it, but all I can say is it's not me, and it wasn't me. It's nothing to do with me. This is all channeled. Like, people will message me and say, oh, your energy is so amazing. And has nothing to, as you know, it's not me. It's like, I can't explain how I got here. I can't explain why. I don't even remember downloading TikTok. And
yeah,
it just was it's way bigger than me. It has nothing to do with me.
I love that. I'm getting the tears too. Like, I feel you on it. Like, and yeah, it's something that you can't even describe. And I just, yeah, it is such a blessing, huh?
It is a blessing, and it's quite magical. And I mean, I really admire the work that you do, and I admire how consistent you are. That is something I've been really struggling with, consistency, and you're just so like there constantly, and I don't know how you do it.
I love your consistent. I think you're consistent though too. I do. I definitely do. And yeah. So I want to ask you then your Reiki journey, like, or can you tell us a little bit about like your healing and your Reiki journey and yeah.
So, I mean, I grew up, like I said, with my mom and her best friend are super esoteric. Like, I remember having surgery and them coming over and giving me a meditation tape back in the day. Everything was on a tape, and I did the meditation, and it was like, you're planting this seed on your swelling, and you're visualizing it growing, and you're visualizing this plant filling up with it was like this long drawn out thing. But I went back to my surgeon, and he was like, I've never seen swelling go down this fast. It's amazing. And so when you have those tangible things in your life, and then fast forward to my 20s, I studied massage therapy, and the school I went to was in Nevada City, California, and it's a very esoteric school. They really hardly focused on like muscles or bones. Like, they were so into energy and visualization. And I remember, like, throughout my years of doing massage, when I would end my sessions, I would do energy work, and the feedback was so intense. Like, everybody would always say, like, your massage was great, but I don't know what you were doing at the end. You were not touching me, and I felt things popping and releasing. And so that kind of was my big eye-opener and entrance into it. But then I moved to this town where it really wasn't prominent, and my license back in California didn't transfer to Oregon, and I had 4 kids. So I kind of just, did things on my own and with my family and stuff like that. But I stopped practicing completely up until 2020, when I found like everybody online.
It is so awesome.
I just started giving myself Reiki again, like really. I kind of went through the whole thing again. Like I went and took courses again. I did the 21 days after level 1. Like I was just so, I knew that connected to the face I saw in the mountain. And it just,
so cool.
yeah. So that was kind of how I entered in. And now I'm just struggling to find a space to work out of in person.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
when I like work on my family or my husband, or everyone's like, this is so much better than even a massage. And I've got like a lot of sound therapy tools. So I'm just itching to find a space.
Oh,
but
I love that.
yeah.
Do you think that will, I was going to ask that later, but what does that look like? Any goals that you have coming up for 2025?
That is my number one goal, is to find, I mean, back when my older kids went to college, I decided to go back to school too. And I did 2 years of entrepreneurship, and that was my whole goal in entrepreneurship. Was I built the whole thing around a healing retreat. At the time, I didn't like have the focus on Reiki per se, because I didn't know that was what I would really dive deeply into. But I had that whole business plan built up. But now everything's so like land. I mean, since I built that plan, like land has just been ticking and ticking so high. So I'm kind of like in this little limbo where we'll see what happens with the economy. But oh my gosh, that's like my big, like when I try to manifest, that's what I'm working on.
I love that.
Either building off of my house and building an office space, or finding a space. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I think I know it's going to happen when it's supposed to happen. It's just a matter of time.
Definitely. And it kind of sounds like everything has been so intuitively guided for you anyway, that I'm sure that when that like that's going to happen. It's just like you said, when it happens.
I think so.
Can you tell me a little bit about, do you recall any times in your past where you really needed your inner strength most, and what did you like, any difficult times, and what did you learn most during that time?
I would say a really difficult time was the move here, leaving an area where what I do and what I believe in was the norm, and then moving somewhere where I was almost demonized, and I felt like I had to like hide, I had to hide who I was. And I really just I went within, and I've been talking about that a lot, like surrendering and going within and not trying to change. And like, especially right now with like how crazy everything is, and everyone's in this big upheaval with politics and all of that. And I'm just like, if everyone could just quiet and go within and lead with peace and listen to like, and trust yourself and know that your path is divinely guided. I am not saying to like let go of like your, obviously we all need, if everyone just let go, we have to fight for what we believe in and all of those things. But I remember like coming into this town and being like, no, everyone needs to know that this isn't, they need to know. And then I just kind of stopped and went within, and now look at me. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm right where I should be, but I didn't have to fight anything to get there. So
exactly. It's almost like the universe provided you your tribe of people, Yeah.
I mean, I ended up starting like a women's drum circle in my home. I haven't been very good at that for the last couple months or so because I've been struggling with my time, but
yeah.
but I almost feel like even having that like drum circle kind of like, I feel like we drummed up like all this positivity and like everything started happening for me. And I was like, okay, like you just have to let go, surrender, and trust your path.
Definitely. Definitely. So, can you tell me a little bit about like, how do you feel about your influence on social media, and what is a message that you find yourself sharing, whether it's channeled or something that's just really dear to your heart?
Mostly I feel extremely humbled by my presence on social media. Like I will post something and walk away from it and then come back. And, you know, I haven't had too many like go crazy viral, but I have had like a few videos hit like, you know, 3 million or 4 million. And I don't know, like sometimes my daughter, she just graduated college, but like she was in a stadium and she kind of panned her phone around and sent me the video, and she said, just think, like this is how many people liked your content. And then my son will message me and say, you know, there's so much negativity on certain platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, every now and then I'll go through and look at all of your comments and they're all positive. So it's just like, it's like deeply, deeply humbling to be the vessel for channeling that.
Definitely.
Yeah, I forget. Was there another part of your question? I'm sorry.
No, that's it. Like, is there a message though that kind of comes like, and I know that there's plenty of messages, but is there one that just like you're like, this keeps coming through, and I really feel like this is like a message that the universe chose me to because they knew that I would articulate it in the way that it was needed?
Absolutely. And that is that you can be the healer of your own life, that you hold that power. And like when you're feeling the energy that a practitioner is channeling to you, that's you. That's you tapping into it. So like you hold that power, you harness that ability. I meet with people over the phone. Like I don't even do my one-on-ones through Zoom. Everyone wants them through Zoom, but I'm like, you really don't need Zoom. It's the energy. And I meet with people all over the world, and we have these sessions, and we will like reconvene after the meeting or after the session. And, you know, I might say like, I don't know why, but like this name came in, and they're like, oh my gosh, yes, like I forgot to tell you, but that was like a big struggle in my life, like with this person. Or I will be like, I don't know, I saw like a ton of circles and yellow, and they're seeing the same thing. A lot of times I talk first so that they know I'm not repeating what they say. And a lot of times I'll let them talk first, but it's quite baffling, and not baffling. It's just mind blowing how powerful energy is and how transferring it is so impactful on everyone's lives, and how much, as long as you open yourself up to it, it is there for you. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry.
Yes,
there's a reason I don't talk in a lot of my videos.
No, I love that you're so traditional. Like that's traditional Reiki right there. I absolutely love that. Like that That's what she's describing. If a lot of you are new to Reiki, that is how Reiki was done, distance healing. Before there was social media and Zoom, that's how we would do a distance healing session. It would be, we're going to schedule a time, you're going to receive your Reiki at that time, and your Reiki practitioner is going to use distance healing to get it. And so I love that you share that. Because I do think that, there's a lot of times that people get a little confused, even when we're doing Reiki on social media, and some people won't receive Reiki through social media because they feel like there's a transference of energy through, the tablet or whatever we're doing and stuff. And so and it's not on the question, so if you don't want to answer it, you don't have to, but do you want to answer that to the people, like how that looks like when you're doing a distance healing without a tablet? Or
when I'm doing it through like TikTok, or when I'm doing it like over the phone?
Yeah, over the phone.
Okay, so when I won't go get it, but I've got this like little organic cotton. It's basically like a doll that you would take if you were a doll maker and like add to it and make things. I call it my surrogate. And I often have my massage table set up over here because I'll give like my husband Reiki in my like over here, but I don't want strangers in my house, so I don't do a lot of outside. But anyway, so I have this surrogate doll, and I will call them. We will talk for 15 minutes. They will go over like why they reached out. I'll kind of write that down, take notes, and then I will ask them, okay, we're going to hang up. I want you to get comfortable, like try not to cross your legs so our channels are open. Make sure you are giving a verbal consent, like before, like when you lay down, like just say out loud or in your head, I'm ready to receive this Reiki. If you want to call in spirit, if you want to call in archangels, if you want to call in animals, like whatever you want to call in, call it in. If you have crystals that are meaningful to you, music, smells, and I write that all down and email that to them first. So it's not like they're not last minute scrambling. And then I've got this like little doll, and I channel Reiki. I do like the symbols, and I open, and before I start, I come in my room and I open the gates, because I also work a lot with like other, this kind of scares people, and I just did a post on it, but it's kind of like more witchy. But I just did a post that witchy stuff is actually just channeling energy as well, and it's energy manipulation. But so I come in and I open the gates. I do like the 4 directions plus above and below and within, and I really like meditate before I start the session. And then I sit with the doll and I hold space over each chakra. And for me, I often will feel like I will feel like this big like whoosh when it's ready for me to move on.
Yeah.
And if I feel like I'm stuck, I will sometimes hold like over the crown and then whatever chakra I'm working on, and until I feel it hit both hands. Mm-hmm. And it's really interesting because I'll tell people, like, I usually start with the root because we want to ground when we're working distance. Like in person, we usually start with the head. But it's really funny because I've switched it up on people after I told them I was going to start at the root. So
yeah.
Spirit will tell me, no, we got to start at the head. And they will say, it's really weird. Like you said, you were going to start at the root, but I felt all this stuff in my heart. And I'm like, yeah. So it's like such an affirmation when that kind of stuff happens. Yeah. So affirming and amazing.
I love that. And do you do, if somebody that was listening, because that sounds amazing, that if they were listening today and they wanted to get a session from you over the phone, like a distance healing one, is there a way that they can look at your website, or is there?
Yep. It's under offerings. And are we allowed to say like websites? Okay.
Yeah, websites. Yeah.
Okay, so it's just the Sacred Lotus Apothecary.com. And that is where my offerings are. It's where a lot of my, if you don't want to shop on TikTok Shop, I've got stuff over there as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. I mean, I'm thinking about adding the video option, but I feel like it is so, I've had people like demand it and I've made exceptions. But I'm telling you, those phone call ones where I am in my quiet zen, in my like not worried about a phone.
Yeah.
It is so much more powerful. So
Definitely.
Is that how you do yours?
I do mine via Zoom, but that's, it's, cause I do the guided meditation and all of that.
Yeah.
So it's totally different, but I just love that. I love that traditional approach. I just do. It really makes me think of, like before I was on TikTok, that's exactly what it looked like. And I almost feel like it is what you're talking about. It's such a powerful energy exchange, because you're having to feel it. And it's almost like I would really encourage anybody that is listening to at least try once, to just, if you ever get skeptical of Reiki energy and it working distant, that will be the thing that gets you to, okay, I know that this isn't just a visual thing or me just, imagining that it's working. That would be a true testament of how to.
I actually had a woman from, I forget, she was in like, oh gosh, like, I think she might have been in Russia, but she came for a session over the phone, and then she said, I don't want to tell you anything. Mm-hmm. I just want to see if this is real. So I was like, okay. And so we did the session, and she said, can you tell me where you think there's blockages? And I told her, and she was like, okay, it's real.
I love that. It
was pretty cool. And there was one other one that was, anyway, it doesn't matter. They're just, it's very affirming. Mm-hmm. And I did have one woman, and I mean, I can't take credit for this, and I won't, but it was still like really magical. And I believe that this also has to do with people tapping into their own beliefs, which is why a lot of the stuff that I sell is like manifesting items like candles and little kits, because when you start to harness that energy and you truly believe it, it's so powerful. But I had a woman her brother was in a coma, and she was begging me to do the Reiki. And I was like, I don't know, because I'm not sure if we should, because he can't consent. Yeah. And she was like, well, I think, what if we did it this way? So we kind of did like I'm going to send this only if he's willing to consent, because there is thoughts that like, if you, like there's no time or space.
Exactly.
So if their spirit would consent, then the energy knows that it would consent. Mm-hmm. So we did. And then the next day she was like, he's out of his coma.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. But
I love that. And I was going to ask you that before I ask you my next question. Is there one story that like really stands out to you? And that is that like with the coma, is there anything that you're just like, that just really stands out to you that you're just like, wow, like this definitely changed this person's life?
Well, I mean, that was probably my biggest one. There are some other cool stories, like that my Reiki master, she was saying like, you'll find that people's lives will start changing even after they book the session, because it's so confusing to a lot of people, but because there is no space and time, that the Reiki's like already activating almost. And so like once they just make that call for the Reiki, things will start evolving for them. And I mean, I had one woman recently, and she booked a session, and then I was driving home, and a crow dropped this feather down, and I pulled over because it just spiraled right in front of me. And I was like, okay. And I got out and I looked at the crow, and the crow looked at me, and I was like, is this for me? And I took it. And then the next day I had my session, and I won't go into her details, but she had this big story, and she was like, and then this crow gave me this feather. Like it plucked the feather out and dropped it down to me. So that's an interesting thing where the energy is already working before you even start your session. But I had one cool thing happen personally just to me, which was I have a almost 25-year-old who had a flat tire, and I was feeling frustrated because I'm like, you're almost 25 and you need to not call me and figure it out. And I found myself like I was really busy. I had orders to get out, and I was so frustrated. And I started pulling down the white light through me and channeling the light while I drove to her. And I pulled up to her car, and no sooner did I get out, but a little state trooper pulled up, this tiny little woman, like a little firecracker. And we had AAA, but she forced my daughter to get out, change the tire, taught her how to change the tire, and it was just really cool because I was like calling in that. I was like, I didn't want to feel angry or frustrated or upset. And I was calling in this white light. And then, I mean, I could have never got my daughter to do that.
Oh, I love that. That's so awesome.
Yeah, so that's just like a silly one, but that was
I love that. That's a good one, though.
It was so good. I was, and then she was so proud of herself. Like she was like, I changed a tire, and now she knows how to change a tire.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So what about, are there any fun facts about you? Is there one fun fact that really stands out that people on social media might not know about you?
Probably that I was actually, you sent me a few of these questions, and I was talking to my friend, and I'm like, I don't know what to say for that one. And she was like, that you're a complete goofball, like that you are completely like nutty, which is probably doesn't come across because a lot of my stuff is very like serene.
Yeah.
But the instinctual one that came to me was that I'm a very big tomboy. Like I grew up mountain biking, I taught snowboarding,
So cool.
I'm a water skier. Like I'm a huge tomboy, and my happiest place is like if I have some steel toe boots on, Carhartts, I'm stomping through the woods and like gonna go build a bonfire. Like that is my very happy place. Like I would be so happy if I could live in the middle of nowhere in a little hut with like a wood stove and no electricity. I would be like the happiest person in the world. So
yeah. Oh, wow. So that's really, I love that. And I think some of your content kind of like, I wouldn't say that I would have guessed that about you, but I do like that you add like a very earthy touch to your content, and I find it like probably for people that can't get outdoors, that has to be really healing for them to see too. You know what I mean? To just watch and your content, it almost makes you feel like when you're watching it that you're actually there with you, which is beautiful that you're able to have that come across the camera. And I know that has to do with a lot of energy work though too, to be able to do that.
Thank you. Yeah. We're actually taking she'll be 13 tomorrow, my youngest, and we're going to some hot springs tomorrow. We're going to play hooky from school, and I was thinking that might make some good content. So hopefully I will have something after that trip. Because, yeah, and then recently, like my husband, he was like, it's going to be the first snow, and he usually hates the cold, but he was like, let's go drive up to the top of the mountain.
Oh, yeah.
And fire. And I mean, it was so magical. I felt like I was like communicating with like spirit up there. It was so magical.
You did something like around Halloween with that, right?
Yeah,
because it was like oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that it was that it started snowing. It doesn't normally do that here, so.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Well, so can you tell everybody where they can find your content and stuff? And because we're towards the end, you're able to actually, how about I have you give a takeaway first, so then we can say all the other platforms before we hop off.
Okay.
Okay.
So my takeaway, like when I think about why I'm here and what I'm doing, my main takeaway is for people to harness the power to be in control of their lives. Like that is my biggest thing. It's I watch you, I watch other creators that I resonate with. I love like mindful frequency. I feel so much transformation when I accept the Reiki, and I just want everyone on earth to know that they can tap into that with us or without us. Like we're all energy, and they hold the power to connect to source anytime, and without like trying to be like toxic positivity or all that nonsense. Like just knowing that I can't even explain it. It's so hard for me, but just knowing that if you allow yourself to connect to source and know that you are source and source is you, it's like your whole life transforms.
Definitely. Well, I want to say thank you so much for doing this with me, and I hope that you'll come back on again some other time, and I would love to do like one time where we just do like a collaboration where we do some Reiki together.
Yeah,
that would be really fun.
I need to get some darker. I feel like I'm so bright and like,
I love it. I love it. So can you tell everybody really quick one more time where they can find you? And guys, right now you should be able to give her a follow too if you're not following her already, which again, I'm sure most of you are.
Well, so you can find me on here, on YouTube, on IG, and be careful because there's so many scammers. I know you experience this as well. I will never ask you for money. I will never reach out to you. I will answer DMs occasionally, not all the time, but I will never ask you for money. So please be careful with that. And unfortunately, over on Instagram, my name, it's got like the dash and then the dash, because it was like an old account that I was doing other stuff on. And then I'm going to start putting my Reiki stuff over there, and I couldn't use my name. So it's a wonky name, but it is the Sacred Lotus. And I think that they're linked.
Okay.
I think I have like my YouTube and my Instagram little boxes on my profile here. So, and I have a link tree too. So
awesome. Yeah.
I really want to thank you for extending this invite and being so supportive. I appreciate it so much. And I just love that we're all like holding each other up and making the world a better place.
Definitely. I received the same from you, so ditto.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much, and I hope I see you very soon. Thank you, Denise.
I would love that. And you have an in-person space, right?
I
Or
do.
did you
For
open a
now, I
studio?
do. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if I ever find myself in Arizona, I'm going to come find you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. And thank you for
Yes.
taking the time to do this with me.
You too. Take care and have fun tomorrow.
Oh, thank you. We will.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye. All right.
I don't even know how to. Do you have to get me off? I'm not sure. Do I do it? Wait. Yeah.
Let's see. I don't know how to do this part. I usually
Oh,
just
I
end the
found it.
live.
Okay, I found it. Thank you, Erica.
Thank you guys. Thank you. Bye,
everyone.
Denise.
Bye.